Imagine stepping into a room and before you can even settle in, someone hits you with a truth so raw it leaves no room for denial. No pleasantries, no gentle easing in, just a sharp, unapologetic, life doesn't care about you. The world doesn't revolve around you, and no one owes you a damn thing. It sounds brutal, doesn't it? But here's the thing, you might just need to hear it. I'm Bix, and welcome to Bix Book Summary. Today, we're diving into the Rudest Book Ever by Shwetabh Gangwar, a book that doesn't bother dressing up the truth to make it easier to swallow. It's not here to sprinkle you with feel-good quotes or to promise that the universe is secretly conspiring in your favor. No, it's here to shake you awake from the cozy but dangerous belief that life is fair, people will treat you exactly as you treat them, and the world will adjust itself to your comfort. And here's where it gets interesting. Once you stop fighting this truth and start accepting it, something strange happens. The crushing weight of trying to win every interaction? Gone. That gnawing fear of rejection? Noticeably lighter. That endless, exhausting need to prove your worth to everyone around you? It starts to fade like mist under the morning sun. Gangwar's core message is blunt but liberating. You've been living as if the universe has a grand script for your life. That if you play by the rules, be polite, follow the path, wait your turn, you'll be rewarded. But life doesn't run on scripts. It's more like an unsupervised playground. And if you keep expecting the swings to be empty just because you've shown up, you'll spend your days bitterly watching someone else have all the fun. Yes, the book is unapologetically direct, but it's not about crushing your spirit. It's about freeing it. It's like having that rare friend who cares enough to tell you the thing everyone else avoids. At first, it stings, but soon you realize they're not attacking you. They're attacking the illusions that have been holding you prisoner. Over the next few minutes, we'll start peeling away those illusions. We'll talk about why not being special is one of the most liberating truths you'll ever embrace, why everything doesn't have to be about you, how to take rejection without it shattering your confidence, and why you should stop trying to repair the whole world before you've figured out how to repair yourself. This isn't about being rude. It's about being honest. It's about seeing the world as it is, so you can finally start living without the constant disappointment of unmet expectations. And that first step? It's a reality check. One that might sting, but will ultimately set you free. So ready to take that slap of truth and maybe even be grateful for it? Let's begin. From the time you could barely string sentences together, chances are someone told you you were special. Maybe it was your parents telling you you had a gift. Maybe it was a teacher who swore you were destined for greatness. Or maybe it was every motivational Instagram post screaming that you're a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece. And honestly, it feels good to believe that. Who wouldn't want to walk around thinking the world has been waiting for their arrival? But here's where Gangwar takes a wrecking ball to that belief. He says, "You're not special." And before you roll your eyes or feel insulted, understand this. He's not saying you don't matter. He's saying that thinking you're inherently special often does you more harm than good. When you live under the belief that you're destined for something extraordinary, every regular, everyday moment starts to feel like a letdown. That job that pays the bills, but doesn't change the world, feels like failure. That relationship that's solid, but not a Hollywood-level romance, feels underwhelming. Even an ordinary Tuesday can feel like you're falling behind on some imaginary greatness deadline. What happens next? You start walking through life frustrated, because reality isn't matching the grand treatment you thought was promised. And here's the twist. The moment you accept that you're not inherently special, you get something better than a pedestal. You get freedom. Freedom from needing constant approval to validate your uniqueness. Freedom from the exhausting race to outperform everyone else. Freedom from comparing your so-called destiny to someone else's curated highlight reel. When you stop thinking the universe has a VIP section with your name on it, you finally see life for what it really is. A wide-open, chaotic, unpredictable playground. And in that playground, you get to pick your own games, make your own rules, and stop waiting for a crown that was never on its way. And that's where something powerful shifts. You stop obsessing over how much you matter to the world and start focusing on how much the world matters to you. Gangwar isn't trying to crush your self-worth. He's trying to strip away your self-importance. Because self-importance makes you fragile, always needing the world to treat you a certain way. Self-worth makes you unshakable, able to stand strong no matter how the world treats you. That's the real pivot. Moving from I deserve special treatment to I create my own meaning. And once you make that shift, the game changes. So if you're not the hero in everyone else's story, if you're not the chosen one, then how do you stop making life revolve around you? That's exactly what we're about to unpack next. Here's a truth that can sting a little. Most people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. In fact, they're far too busy thinking about themselves. Yet we move through life like amateur detectives, endlessly decoding every text, every glance, every pause in a conversation, as if it's a secret message about us. They didn't say good morning. Are they upset with me? They didn't like my post. Do they secretly hate me? Their replies were short. Did I do something wrong? Gangwar calls this what it really is. Ego, not the loud chest-thumping ego you see in movies, but the subtle, exhausting kind that assumes you're the main storyline in everyone else's day. The problem is, this mindset turns the world into a hostile place. If someone's rude, you take it personally. If they forget you, you see it as rejection. If they disagree, it feels like a personal attack. But here's the liberating twist. When you stop making everything about you, you stop bleeding over wounds that were never yours to begin with. That coworker's bad mood? Probably something going on at home. That friend who canceled? Maybe they're just burned out, not avoiding you. That stranger who cut you off in traffic? They're not waging war. They're just a lousy driver. When you truly grasp that most people's actions are shaped by their circumstances, insecurities, and mental chaos, you stop feeling like the target of every arrow. And the change goes beyond protecting your feelings. You actually become better with people. Why? Because you listen without that constant defensive filter. You stop inventing stories about their motives and start asking questions instead. You allow people to exist outside the script you've been writing in your head. Gangwar's message isn't stop caring about yourself. It's stop assuming the universe is tuned into me and my problems FM all day long. Because the truth is, everyone is busy navigating their own storms. And the less you plant yourself in the middle of their weather, the calmer your own skies become. It's not about disappearing. It's about becoming unshakable. And once you step out of that imaginary spotlight in your head, something shifts. You stop reacting to the characters you think people are and start connecting with who they really are. Which leads right into the next uncomfortable truth. If you want peace, you have to stop forcing people to fit into the perfect little story you've been trying to write for them. Think back to the last time someone truly let you down. Maybe it was a friend who didn't show up when you really needed them. Maybe it was a partner acting in a way you swore they never would. Or maybe it was someone you admired saying something that instantly shattered the respect you had for them. And yes, it hurt. But the pain wasn't only from what they did. A big part of it came from something deeper. They broke the story you had about who they were. Gangwar points out that we rarely deal with people as they actually are. We deal with them as the characters we've cast in our own personal movie. We hand them roles. You're the loyal friend. You're the supportive partner. You're the wise mentor. And as long as they stick to the script, everything feels fine. But the moment they go off script, we feel betrayed. Not necessarily because they've done something objectively wrong, but because they're no longer playing the role we assign to them. The truth is, people aren't fixed characters carved out of stone. They're living, shifting, unpredictable humans, just like you. They have moments of generosity and moments of selfishness, days where they shine and days where they stumble. They're full of contradictions. Expecting someone to stay perfectly aligned with your version of them is like casting an actor in a comedy and then getting angry when they decide to audition for a drama. It's not that they've suddenly become wrong or bad. They've just stepped outside the genre you chose for them. And here's the magic. When you stop demanding that people follow your script, You start relating to them as they are, not as you imagined. You stop taking their changes personally. You stop asking them for a consistency they can't promise. You stop turning every shift into a betrayal. It's freeing. Not just for you, but for them too. Because let's be real, you wouldn't want to be trapped inside someone else's narrow version of who you're allowed to be. Gangwar's advice is beautifully simple. See people as moving targets, not static statues. When you do, you learn to adjust without resentment, accept without control, and love without suffocating. But here's the thing. Even after we accept that people are unpredictable, there's still one hit that feels sharper than the rest. Rejection. And in the next part, we're going to flip that sting on its head, showing you how rejection isn't the end of the story at all. It's actually information you can use to live better. Rejection hurts. It's that sharp sting when someone tells you you're not what I'm looking for. It's the uncomfortable silence after your proposal, whether in love, friendship, or business, gets turned down. It's that cold, sobering moment when life looks you in the eye and simply says, no. For most of us, rejection doesn't just hurt, it feels like proof. Proof that we're not enough. Proof that we're unworthy. Proof that we failed. But Gangwar wants to rip that interpretation apart. He says rejection is not a verdict on your value. It's just data. Think of it like a GPS. When one road is blocked, it doesn't sit there sulking in traffic. It doesn't start questioning whether it's a bad GPS. It simply recalculates. It finds another way forward. In the same way, rejection is just the roadblock. It's information telling you, this path isn't the right one for you right now. When you start seeing rejection this way, it shifts. It stops being personal and starts being directional. It's no longer, I'm not good enough. It becomes, this wasn't the right fit for me or for them. And here's the thing. Sometimes rejection isn't just harmless. It's a blessing in disguise. The job you didn't get, it might have drained the life out of you. The relationship that ended, it might have suffocated your growth. The opportunity that slipped away, it could have taken you somewhere you never truly wanted to be. If you're honest with yourself, you've probably had moments where you've looked back and thought, thank God that didn't work out. Because only in hindsight did you see where it would have led. And it wasn't where you wanted to go. Rejection, then, isn't a stop sign. It's a compass. It points you toward the places, people, and paths where your time, energy, and value will actually be respected and reciprocated. It forces you to sharpen your aim instead of firing blindly into the dark. Gangwar's take is clear and unapologetic. Stop turning every no into a wound you carry and start turning it into a strategy you use. That way, you're not just collecting scars, you're collecting wisdom. And that brings us to the next step. Because if rejection is just data, then the way you interpret that data depends entirely on your values. And without your own value system, you'll just keep chasing what everyone else tells you is worth having, and wondering why you still feel lost. Most people walk through life following a value system they never consciously chose. It's a messy patchwork quilt, stitched together from things parents drilled into them, the rewards society hands out, the fantasies Instagram glorifies, and the quiet but powerful pull of what friends and peers expect. The danger in this? When your values are borrowed, so are your decisions. You don't truly know if you want the things you're chasing. You just know they looked shiny in someone else's life. You're running on autopilot, pursuing a dream that may not even be yours. Gangwar's advice here is sharp and uncompromising. Burn the borrowed script and write your own. That starts with asking yourself the questions most people avoid. What do I actually care about? Not what I've been told to care about. What matters to me even if nobody notices or applauds? What am I willing to say no to, even if it costs me approval? Because here's the reality. If you don't define your own values, life turns into one long popularity contest. You become a chameleon, constantly changing colors to match the room you're in. You nod along with whoever shouts the loudest. You accept whatever comes your way without questioning if it fits you. And in the quiet moments, you can't figure out why you feel so lost. Your values are your compass. They tell you which opportunities deserve your energy, which battles are worth fighting, and which rejections aren't worth a second thought. And here's the best part. When your value system is truly yours, saying no stops being a struggle. It's not about being stubborn or difficult. It's simply a decision that's already been made. If something doesn't align, it's out. No guilt. No overthinking. The irony? When you stop bending to please everyone, people actually respect you more. Not because you agree with them, but because you're consistent. You stand for something. You're not a leaf blowing in the wind of every opinion, trend, or passing pressure. But Gangwar doesn't sugarcoat it. Building your own value system is uncomfortable. It means questioning beliefs you've carried for years. It means setting down labels that once made you feel secure. It means losing people who only liked the version of you that played by their rules. Yet, what you gain in return is priceless. Self-respect, clarity, and a life that finally feels like it belongs to you. And once you've built that foundation, you realize something crucial. You can't protect your values if you can't protect your boundaries. Here's something Gangwar doesn't just hint at. He spells it out in bold letters. Your value system means nothing if you don't have the courage to enforce it. And enforcing it starts with one deceptively small but life-changing word: no. It sounds easy enough, but for most people, no is the single hardest word to get out of their mouth. Why? Because we're afraid of what comes next. We fear it will make us seem rude, selfish, ungrateful. We imagine it will cost us relationships, opportunities, and approval. So we do the opposite. We pile on yes after yes until our days are filled with commitments we don't care about. We say yes to favors that quietly make us resentful. We say yes to events we dread attending. We say yes to work that doesn't align with what we believe in. And each one of those hollow yeses chips away at our integrity until we wake up one day realizing we've built a life that doesn't even feel like ours. Gangwar's perspective is refreshingly blunt. Stop treating no like a nuclear weapon. It's not an attack. It's an act of self-respect. Every no you give to something that violates your values is actually a louder yes to something that matters far more. Here's the interesting part. When you start saying no clearly and consistently, you'll find you don't have to say it as often. People begin to understand where your boundaries are. They stop testing them because they know you mean what you say. Think of no as your life's immune system. Without it, anything toxic, any distraction, any energy drain gets in and spreads. With it, you protect the environment where your real priorities can grow. And that guilt you feel when you start saying no, that's not a sign you're being a bad person. It's the sound of old people-pleasing habits breaking apart. It's the discomfort that comes with building stronger walls around what matters most. When you get comfortable with no, you stop feeling like it's your job to fix everything and everyone. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours in the first place. You start standing in your own space without apology. And that brings us to the final, most liberating lesson of all. Some people move through life like full-time firefighters in a city that never stops burning. Every problem they hear about, they sprint toward. Every crisis in sight, they claim as their personal responsibility. Every person who's hurting becomes a project to fix. On the surface, it sounds noble, selfless, even heroic. But Gangwar strips away the romanticism and calls it what it is, a straight road to burnout and resentment. Here's the hard truth. Not every problem is yours to solve. Not every person is yours to save. And sometimes trying to fix someone is just a softer way of saying, I don't accept you as you are. When you make yourself the universal problem solver, two things are almost guaranteed to happen. You end up overwhelmed, because there will always be more fires than you could ever hope to put out. Or you end up resentful, because your efforts often go unnoticed, unappreciated, or even rejected. And here's the kicker. Some people don't want to be fixed. Their chaos is familiar. Their problems have become part of their identity, their shield, their excuse, or even their source of attention. No matter how much water you pour, they'll keep reigniting the flames. That's why Gangwar says, you have to pick your battles. Before jumping in, ask yourself, does this align with my values? Do I have the time, energy, and resources to genuinely help? Am I helping because it's right, or because I'll feel guilty if I don't? When you let go of the compulsion to fix everyone, something shifts. You create space to take care of yourself. You have more to give when it truly matters. And you stop stretching yourself so thin that you're no good to anyone, not even yourself. And here's the most freeing part. When you stop trying to control, rescue, or save others, you give them something far more valuable: the dignity of finding their own way. You trust them enough to face their own battles and own their own victories. It's not selfishness, it's respect. Respect for your own limits, and respect for their ability to live their own life. Which brings us to the final, full-circle truth of this entire book. You want respect from the world, it has to start with the way you treat yourself. Because the boundaries you set, the values you protect, and the self-respect you carry, that's the standard you teach the world to follow. When you peel back all the sharp one-liners, the mic drop moments, and the unapologetic tone of the rudest book ever, you discover something unexpected. It's not about being rude at all. It's about being unapologetically real. It's about refusing to drift through life on autopilot, refusing to be a puppet dancing on strings pulled by someone else's expectations, refusing to keep playing a role you never chose in a story you didn't even audition for. And the truth that Gangwar keeps circling back to is this: you can't demand respect from the world if you keep disrespecting yourself. Self-disrespect doesn't always look like self-destruction. Often it's subtle. It's saying yes when every cell in your body is screaming no. It's living by values you inherited instead of ones you created. It's making every interaction about you and then wondering why you're always hurt. It's pouring your energy into fixing everyone else just so you can avoid facing your own mess. Real self-respect is quieter than people think. It's in the no you deliver calmly, without guilt. It's in the boundaries you set without needing to justify them. It's in allowing people to be exactly who they are, even when they don't match the version you wanted them to be. It's in taking rejection without letting it shake the core of who you are. And here's the thing, when you start living this way, people notice. They might not always agree with you. They might even resist the change. But they notice. And slowly, the people who remain in your life are the ones who respect you enough to meet you where you are, not drag you back to where you were. If there's one truth to walk away with from this book, it's this: life doesn't owe you anything. People don't owe you anything. And far from being depressing, that realization is your ticket to freedom. Because when you stop waiting for the world to hand you approval, you start building a life you actually want. Rooted in your own values, guarded by your own boundaries, and shaped by your own choices. You're not here to be special in the shallow way the world markets it. You're here to be solid, to know exactly who you are, what you stand for, and how you want to live. So the next time you feel lost, disrespected, or let down, don't rush to ask, why are they like this? Instead, ask yourself, am I respecting myself right now? Because once you get that right, everything else falls into place.